Kia ora and welcome. My name is Zoe Stevie and I am your vocal coach for today. You know what? Someone was in the studio just this week and they were talking about how they were finding it really difficult to listen to the recordings of their own voices, of a performance that we just done in December. And I completely understand what they're talking about. Do you feel like sometimes when you hear your voice on a voice note, you're like, oh, I sound completely different. It's not what it sounds like in my own head. Do you even maybe listen to recordings and you're like, oh, that's absolutely awful, and you can't manage to just get out the feeling that everything that you sing sounds awful? But when someone else sings that exact same song, you're just like, oh, I love what they do. Well, in this video, I am going to help you with my 5 top tips to learn how to love the sound of your own singing voice. So let's just get straight to it because I want you to learn to love that beautiful instrument of yours. Let's get to it. Firstly, absolutely everybody sounds terrible through a regular phone microphone or even the microphone on this camera that I'm using right here. So my number 1 tip would be to get yourself a decent Bluetooth microphone. I'll put a sort of like bare bones gear list down in the description for you. But what I use, and you can see I'm using it for today, you can use a Zoom recorder. This has a really excellent camera here up the top, but you can also add in your absolutely standard SM58, which is the standard Shure microphone for singing. You can plug that into the bottom here and you can get really great recordings from these things. So I record absolutely everything for my channel on them, as you can see right now, and I can highly recommend them. So I will put it down in the description below. This is the multi-track recorder where I can record up to 4 instruments at once, but you really don't need to do that unless you play, for example, the piano and the guitar at the same time. I really would just recommend getting a 2-channel or even a single channel Zoom recorder. Or you can get, of course, plug-in microphones for your phones. Again, I'll put a link down there for you. Absolutely everybody sounds terrible on the phone. The microphones are, if you can think about the difference, the microphones are there in the bottom sitting in this machine, and this microphone is huge, which is just to do with picking up my voice. So of course, this is going to be the quality is going to be terrible in comparison to a decent microphone. Doesn't have to break the bank, but if you are really serious about working on your singing, you should be looking at getting a one microphone anyway for you to do your performances with and to practice with and your stage presence anyway. So it's like a double whammy with working on your singing. Number 2 is I want you to record yourself. So I said to you that you should get yourself an external microphone so that you can take better quality recordings. I want you to record yourself every single time you practice at the beginning and the end of your practice session. This is not only so that you can learn to listen to the performance, see what you need to work on, and then work on it in your practice session. You can learn more about that up here in the how to practice video. But I want you to get used to hearing the sound of your voice as your audience hear it. The reason why you don't like the sound of your own voice is because of 2 main reasons. Number 1 is it's because it's called voice confrontation. We're not used to hearing that sound, and therefore we treat it as being like this foreign thing that doesn't feel like it's personal to us. By recording your own voice and listening back to it, you're going to be getting used to the sound of your own voice. But that doesn't mean that you're just going to go from hating your voice to loving it overnight. It is a process. We are looking to go from hating the sound of your own voice to listening to it and being kind of okay with it, to then going, I can look at this objectively, to then going, it's not too bad, to then going, I like this sound sometimes, then to I like this, and then maybe into I love the sound that I'm creating. It's a long journey, but firstly, we just want to get to the stage of I can listen to this, and that's okay that I'm listening to it. So that's why we don't like the sound of our own voices, is one, this phenomenon called voice confrontation. And the second reason is because we hear our voices differently to the way our audience hears it. And that's due to the vocal folds live here inside the larynx. And most of what we hear is caused by the conduction of the sound through the bones and into the ears. We actually hear a really small percentage of the sound that comes out from our mouth. Because if you think about it, vocal folds are here, it goes up through the bones and it comes directly to our ears, whereas this sound has to go out and around into our ears. So that's why we perceive our sound as being lower than it actually is, because the conduction of the bones tends to favor the lower frequencies and cuts out a lot of the higher frequencies. It's just a fact of the matter. So record yourself, listen back to it so that you can get used to hearing your voice so it doesn't feel so foreign. Number 4, I want you to write it down. Now, I know I say this a lot in my videos, but I really do encourage you when you're listening to your performances, I want you to grab your pen and paper and I want you to write down, I listen to myself sing and I absolutely hate it, and why, and write it down. And then you're going to read it back to yourself and go, okay, well, maybe did I really hate everything about that performance? Maybe I liked that one note, or that passage was okay. So you're going to be questioning yourself when you're writing things down, looking back and going, well, actually, that doesn't seem like it's true. That doesn't resonate with me. So I really want you to think about writing down these feelings. You can put it into a song if you want, reading them back to yourself and actually just double checking whether what you're thinking is the truth or whether it's just your brain going, I'm really, really scared of how other people are going to perceive my singing. So we're just trying to sort that out in our brains. But if you're a singer who's performing and feeling like, Zoe, I suffer from stage fright, or you don't know what it's like when you stand out on stage and you just get into the sweats and your voice starts shaking and I get really, really nervous, that is something that we can work on. So check out the link in the description below, because you can join my Vocal Academy, which is my online singing school. And we have a course on stage fright and managing nerves in singing. So check that out in the description below. Number 5, I want you to be gentle with yourself. I know, it's like, Zoe, that's so obvious, but it's really not. You haven't liked the sound of your own voice for a really, really long time. So it's going to take that time to, as I said, to go through this progression of not liking your voice to accepting it, and to go further into eventually being able to be okay with the sound that you're producing, and maybe even saying, I don't mind that recording. That's all I'm looking for with students in my studio. I'm just looking for that. Was the whole thing terrible? Or was there a little section that you're like, that sounded quite nice? That's the progression that we're looking for. So be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself, write down these feelings and look back at them and reflect. I did say there was just going to be 5, but we're going to go to a 6th bonus point. Really, when it comes down to it, not liking the sound of your own voice often comes from a fear of being judged by others. So I want you to really think about it when you're writing down your feelings about the sound that you're hearing. Why don't I like it? Did someone say something to me many years ago? Or did someone not enjoy my performance? And that's where we need to start our work. We need, as artists, to learn to trust ourselves, trust how we're feeling about our voices, trust the sound that we're creating. Because in the end, we're the ones that have to be the most happy with it. Stuff everyone else out there. It's really about us enjoying the sound that we're creating, because when we create the sound that we love, it is going to spread joy with our audience. So really turning in towards yourself and saying, why don't I like the sound? What don't I like about it? And it's often because there is, as I say, this little bit of fear coming in about, I don't know how other people are going to hear this. I don't know how they're going to react. So what you could do there is go and perform at karaoke evenings. It's a fun, frivolous kind of evening where it doesn't really matter about how good your singing is to get used to singing in front of other people. Go to open mic nights, or even go to a local jam session where you can play with other musicians musicians who are also at the same level as you. A lot of music schools actually offer band programs for how you can learn to sing with other people. Join a choir, go out there and make music so you can gain your confidence amongst other people. Sometimes we do just need a little bit of feedback as well to say, yeah, you're doing a good job. There are so many ways that we can learn to love our own voice. But really, in the end, if you're just unhappy with the way things are going and you're feeling like, oh, I want to make this sound like Amy Lee, but it's coming out like a seagull, then it really is about getting a trainer and going to have singing lessons so you can learn what works for your voice best. When you're talking about control here, this is actually quite a difficult instrument. I think a lot of people believe that we just, we're born with this voice box, so we should be able to just sing anything and everything, and why can they do it and I can't? And it's really all about training. You'd never imagine to sit behind a piano and be able to play perfectly with two hands. Oh, I wish. But so why should we think that we're going to be able to do that with our voice? Look for a local singing teacher if you'd like, or you can join the Vocal Academy down in the description below. But it really is about gaining more confidence in your ability to maneuver this wonderful instrument and to work within your own abilities. So there you have it. Let me know down in the comments if you are struggling with liking the sound of your own voice, because I struggled with it for a really long time. I used to listen to my recordings and go, I'm never listening to that ever again. And I would just send it out blindly to casting directors, like just hoping that someone else would like it. And no one ever taught me that actually it was the most important thing, that I learned to love my own voice. And that's what I'm out here trying to spread the joy, because I really do think there's a wonderful part of listening to something and going, I'm really proud of that. I like what I have done there. If you want to learn more about singing, then hit that subscribe button. I'd love to see you around here more often. You can check out my how to practice video up here and my favorite warm up down here. And I'll see you around here next time. Happy singing. Ka kite anō.